Okay, Mayor, this is
Can you believe how beautiful it is?
that's beautiful here. It's gorgeous. It's well taken care of too. Oh, well managed here. Great place to come. Hello, hello.
Hello, how are you guys doing?
Hello, how are you today?
Hi, welcome to Red Clay.
Gary Sears.
Hi, Aaron Medley.
Tom Rowland, Aaron, good to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Honorable Mayor Rowland.
Yes,
You have
sir.
everything looking great here.
Well, thank you, thank you.
Great.
We want to come down and see this beautiful place and let everybody know what's going on and a place that they can come, bring their families.
Absolutely,
Beautiful place.
absolutely. We have picnic shelters.
Well, I'm used to
picnic tables.
pulpits here, Aaron, so this
Well,
looks
let's,
like a...
Right at home, huh?
Yes, it's not quite like yours, but it's got a good spot. It tells all about the park and all.
Right here we are. Tell us a little bit about what we got here, Aaron. See?
Well, this was the council grounds for the Cherokee Nation just before the Trail of Tears. In fact, it was here that they found out that they were going to be moved on the Trail of Tears. So essentially, it's actually the start of the Trail of Tears. What we have here at the park is we have some replica structures to show you what would have been here. The council house would have been here, and then we have some sleeping huts that would have been here. We also have the Blue Hole Spring, which was the water source for the Cherokee Nation while they were here.
You were telling me about that.
Yes,
I want to
yes.
see that.
Yeah. Also, we have our Eternal Flame. That was the fire taken from the last council meeting here at Red Clay, and it's actually made full circle. The Cherokee Nation chose 4 Cherokee folks to take the coals from the last council meeting in iron pots to Tahlequah, Oklahoma. And when they got there, they relit the flame to start their nation there.
So the actual flame they had here, when they
Yes.
started on this Trail of Tears, was going to be fed, the flame was going to be fed from the coals there.
Let me add on to that. There is a church in Tahlequah, Oklahoma that was torn down here and moved piece by piece to Tahlequah. And the sign on the church says, "Move from Red Clay, Tennessee."
Wow.
You know, the interesting thing, of course, you don't expect me to be, since I'm a minister into the religious things, the Cherokee Indian took on a lot of Christian beliefs.
They did.
And they became
They're
believers.
very intelligent
strong,
people.
Strong believers.
And you know, so many folks say, well, they lived in teepees. They didn't. They lived in nice houses,
They sure
as
did.
the Van Chief Fan House and others that
on
you
the other
can
side
see.
of town, one of the oldest cabins was built by.
If an incident concerning the Blue Hole Spring hadn't occurred, we wouldn't know this park today. A beer company was looking at this property for a brewery because it pumps 400 to 500,000 gallons a day.
Yes, sir.
And Colonel Corn, who was our great historian, former mayor of Cleveland, former member of the state legislature, he purchased the land to try to head these folks off. And then that's when we started convincing the state that this was the authentic place. And it took 3 governors to do that.
Wow.
But anyway, Colonel Corn preserved the property and then turned it over to the state at the proper time. Kept it for a few years before that happened. But that's pure water and good water. Folks have been diving under there. I don't think they're supposed to. But Aaron, I have something here that on the day the park was dedicated, and I'm sorry it's been folded up,
That's okay.
to present to the park, and it's signed by Colonel Corn on September 28th, 1979.
Wow.
I have signed it as president of the Cherokee Red Clay
This will
Association.
make it very valuable there.
That will there,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And then Ann Tuck, who was commissioner of the Department of Conservation at that time,
Oh, wow.
was here for that signing as well. Governor Alexander was here for the dedication.
Okay.
Governor Blanton was here for the groundbreaking. Governor Dunn was not here, but he's the one that gave us the final okay. But I'm sorry that's been folded, but maybe you can straighten it out and,
Yes,
and
sir.
use it
Thank you so much.
here at
We
the park.
appreciate that.
I've also got a book here, Mayor, that
I'm sort of
think you
using
own
this
so
for
yeah.
a few notes in here. I was reading about Sleeping Rabbit. I thought he was actually buried at the marker, but he wasn't. He's buried in Bradley County in Tennessee, as Colonel Corn describes it, under some
Now that's
brush.
right over in another county. Was it Whitfield County? What is it?
That'd be Whitfield County.
Yeah, so that's where I rode by that, showing that's supposed to be where
Yeah,
it's buried,
in the lady's front yard.
Yeah,
It was. And another point of interest that I think is very interesting, that the second sitting member of Congress that's ever been here at that time was Marilyn Lloyd. And you want to guess who the first one was?
Boy,
From the 1st Congressional District of Tennessee?
would that be a Boone?
It'd be Davy Crockett.
David
Crockett.
Wow.
As a sitting member of Congress, he visited this area
Davy
as well.
Crockett
Davy
visited?
Crockett, yes, sir. And also we had Iron Eyes Cody, the Indian with the tear,
Yeah.
Keep America Beautiful uses.
Yeah, that keeps America beautiful.
Well,
He was here?
He came here, and the genuine Cherokee felt a little bit offended.
Wow.
He was referred to as drugstore Indian.
Oh, boy.
Uh,
Because he had made
well,
money off of
He came and presented each chief with a headdress. And Chief Bushyhead, I believe, is the one who said, I appreciate the thought, but I don't know what I'll do with it. Cherokee didn't wear headdresses like this. And that was on the stage at the dedication.
Oh, Lord, man.
President Reagan sent a telegram congratulating the Eastern Western Band, but put in the telegram, congratulations on your powwow. And that was not acceptable.
No, sir.
Eddie Cartwright, who was county executive at the time, I gave him the telegram to read, and I said, Eddie, I hear we better mark out powwow. And so he inserted the word meeting. But the Associated Press picked it up, and they made heyday with this for several days.
Goodness.
Yeah, the president called and congratulating Indians on powwow, which is what they say in the movies.
Could we just take a walk?
Oh, sure.
Could we do
Absolutely.
that? Hey,
Yes, sir.
thank you so
You're
much.
welcome,
We
guys.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Aaron, thank you so
Yes,
much.
sir.
Thank you and
Aaron, I'm
Carol.
not going to give you the book, but he's giving you that.
I
just
really
wanted to read up some
appreciate
stuff.
that. Thank you.
Thanks
We'll
so
frame
much.
it.
Thank you
Appreciate
for taking
it.
care of the park.
Thank
yes,
you.
sir. Bye-bye.
Let's go see what we can find out here, Mayor.
Well, one thing, it's peaceful.
This that we're about to see, the Blue Hole, is probably the only thing here on the grounds that we actually know that the Cherokee was at, touching by hand. I mean, they're all around here, but we don't know the other things that are going on.
We know that they got
Had to come here for water,
Yeah,
right.
This was their nourishing place. And the way it was described as a blue hole was the way they described it back then. And it's still the blue hole. And it's blue, and it's pure water. It's very good water. And I mentioned earlier, you know, Mrs. Gray, who lived in the house over here, sort of protected the property for Colonel Corn. People would come down with their jugs and get the water, people from the neighborhood. And it was good water. Well, she sort of patrolled the area, and she kept kids from swimming down here and kept people from getting the water out. But it pumps almost 500,000 gallons a day of fresh, pure water. And there are ledges underneath, sort of like the Lost Sea up in Sweetwater. There have been divers who've gone under there, but there's only a very narrow place.
So underneath us out through here is all...
Probably going that
way
is a
would be
lake.
the
I'm not sure
lake.
about this
Yeah.
way. Underground lake.
Wow. This feeds into what the what water source?
Conasauga? Yeah, because all of these watersheds originate from
Mill
one
Creek
area.
and
Yeah, probably
Conasauga.
all configured
Okay,
here.
so wow, right over the hill
And
here.
it's amazing.
We're gonna get to see what it's
For
like.
all of this time, about 150 years, that this water is still producing.
We're glad that our neighbors didn't find out about that. They've probably been suing for half of this property.
Georgia would have wanted part of this, yeah.
Yeah, they would. Blue Hole Natural Trail. Well, Mayor, this must lead to where we're wanting to go.
Absolutely, down to the blue hole. And Gary, you see, it's actually blue.
It is actually blue, I'll tell you.
I'm not sure how deep it is, but
Well-
you mentioned earlier, probably the depth of the water makes it.
Yeah, the depth of water always aqua that goes blue. It really makes it. I'd say that's over our head and then some. That's a
And you see the ledge over there, and in fact, if you look carefully, you see some of the fish going under that ledge.
yeah. See them moving in and out.
That's where I've been told that folks with diving gear have gone under there to explore and describe it as another lost sea.
Wow.
Water.
Well, that makes sense. That if there's one lost sea in this area, that there could be two. There could be another more.
But as the creek comes in here, I would assume that's the way they found the blue hole, where the creek ends. You know,
So this is the fountainhead. Actually, this creek starts here and rolls into other locations. Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they travel by creek, looking for food, looking for greenery, looking for where the deer get their water,
Right.
and other animals as well. A lot of watercress used to be in this area. I don't see too much right now, but a lot of folks could have picked it out.
So really, of course, water is the one thing you can't go long without. So they
That's
found
true.
themselves
That's true. But look
being
how peaceful
yeah.
it is. You have a sensation of being so peaceful looking at that water, how beautiful it is, and it's sort of like the water of life, and that's what this was.
Yeah, it was life to them. You said too that, of course, this is one of the things that would be stable. We know exactly where all the the Cherokee Nation, when they were needing water, were coming here in this area. So, but you were telling me about the fact that coming back when individuals from traveled here back from never seen it, but had heard the stories about where they started, they were able to come here.
The descendants
And then look to the mountains.
The Cherokee who went to Oklahoma said the way their ancestors had described the location as they looked toward the east where the ridge is and the cavalry was camped there to come in and remove them under President Jackson's orders.
Wow.
But they said it's just like they had drawn it on a piece of paper. They
So mentally they saw
exactly what their ancestors had talked about.
Well, we do know too that this was a place where they were in council trying to decide what they were going to do.
This was their last eastern capital of the Cherokee Nation. This is where the government met. We'll go look at the...
Yeah, you told me they've got a replica. Let's go up there.
And it's open. It was open
Wow.
because just the leaders and council members got under the roof, but they wanted everybody to hear their government in action, so it was open so everybody could gather around.
That'd be nice to have government like that today.
It would be, yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah,
just a
even
thought.
down here. But the Cherokee were very civilized people. You know, in the movies, you talk about the savages. They were not savages. They had their own alphabet. They were very spiritual.
And some of these huge, you know, if they could tell the story, they could tell all that's been going on. So over here's where we've got a...
This was the council house.
Okay.
This was their seat of government, and it was open. So,
Of course, this wasn't here then.
no,
This
we're
is
not
a
sure
replica.
It's exactly
Yeah.
the same place, but it was here, and it was open because they wanted everyone, children, women, and all, to hear the deliberations of their government at the time.
Wow.
And I'm sure that under this roof, there was a lot of fear of having to go somewhere they didn't know about, forced removal. They moved them out of Dahlonega when they discovered gold, and it seemed like we just betrayed the Indians
Really?
so much.
So-
when they would discover something on their property,
That-
the government would move them out
Yeah.
and take the gold.
Take the gold.
Yeah, absolutely, take the gold.
So anything and I guess, you know, I spent 5 years of my life in the Dakotas. Even there, the Indian had a difficult time looking. The Native American had a difficult time looking at the white man in the pulpit.
Sure.
Because they had been deceived
And suspicious.
and suspicious of
whatever
what was
may
going
happen.
on.
Well, you can imagine that the young children and the old people, knowing that in a few days they're going to have to start walking.
And many of them weren't going to make it. The old
No,
were not
they
going to
died
make it.
along the way. They went up to the where our courthouse is now in that area, and they went over to where the Fill-Our House is. That was a stopping point. It had a natural lake there as well. Then
It wasn't Charleston, right by the lake,
Charleston,
the
and
river.
Rattlesnake Springs, and that's where they got on the flatbed boats.
Right.
They go the riverways and back on ground again. Knew nothing about Oklahoma.
Heard the story of many settlers along the way that would see them, cold weather, they'd come out and give them a blanket
Sure.
or give them, because they were so grieved about how they were being treated.
Well, there was never any battle between the Cherokee and the white man. They could exist together. They do today,
Right.
and could have back then. The Cherokee didn't want to go ravage the farms and steal the cattle and things of that nature. They wanted to coexist. And they were very spiritual people. They believed in a God.
God, yes. You know, setting in this setting, because most of us think that they were seated in little teepees,
yeah.
But they built beautiful facilities for themselves at that point, and the split logs that we see here is similar to what they set on making those council
Right.
decisions.
And as we can see over toward the east of the park, the replica of the houses they actually lived in.
Wow.
So when they moved from Georgia here, they probably thought they were going to stay a while. This was
So
going
they
to
were
be their
saying,
home.
this was
They-
gonna
they
be
were
it.
ready to settle in. We built our houses, and there they were.
Fields for crop,
And-
clearing out places
yeah,
to...
and by today's standards, those would be nice homes.
Nice home.
Even there. So it was just a sad day in our history, and it's one of these things that we just hope never happens again.
Several years ago, Mayor, I think you may have been involved in that. About 6-7 years ago, there was a period of time where the churches met with leadership from the different tribes and had services in their church repenting over the way we'd treated them.
They did.
And we had one at
Yes.
our church. I know others in
That
town.
was a cause at the time when the history of the Trail of Tears became very prominent. It was a way, I think, for the people in this area to ask for forgiveness and to pray God's blessing upon these people as they are now. I may have mentioned to you earlier about the little church in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, a little wooden church that they dismantled and carried with them piece by piece and reassembled it. And it has a sign over it from Red Clay, Tennessee.
Wow.
Moved all
So
the
it
way.
is there.
It is there. It is there today. Red Clay.
Well, someday you and I'll have to take a little trip. I wonder if the city and my church will let us free to go vacation.
The
this
church
year.
pays for it. We can certainly do that.
I was thinking maybe the city.
I doubt that.
Well, that's
Look
there's
at that roof structure. How it's-
oh yeah. There's one more place that we've got to go to that I think would highlight everything that anyone can see here, and that has to be where the eternal flame. And we'll have to tell a story about that. Why don't we go up here and pal and see what's going on with it? Man, what a place to come. What a place to be. Oh, families need to be here.
To me, it's awesome to think the Indians actually delivered that tree.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, it leaned against it.
Leaned against it.
Yeah, sure.
Leaned against it.
Wonder where the
Played, the kids played around it.
Wonder where the garden spot was.
Oh, I don't know.
Just about had to have one, didn't it?
Yeah. And as smart as they were, irrigation would have been something they would have known to do. They would have figured out a way.
Charge on some of the parks. This was one of them. That's been. No, this does not need to be charged for. This is part of history. This is where school classes need to come.
Exactly. Speaking of which, Mayor, is a lot of schools, Bradley County and Cleveland, do they bring
I don't
tour?
know, but I've seen
It'd be great if they do that.
other states. They've come back.
Now, is this a mound or is this a natural flow of this property? So, okay, it would have been. So that we didn't find any burial sites here as such.
No, that I know of,
Okay.
except sleeping rabbits.
Yeah. And is not where they thought it was.
He's in Tennessee. They put the marker on Georgia.
Well, and we'll talk a little bit about sleeping rabbit here too. Okay, this is the
Everybody together.
wow. Eternal flame of the Cherokee Nation. Boy, Mayor, this is somewhat sacred ground for the.
Well, when you think, what's the big deal about reuniting the Eastern and Western Band? And as we talked before, there were a lot of differences and hard feelings between the two groups. And I think it was very historical that they came together with the two chiefs on the stage right in this area when they accepted the pipe of peace.
Okay, that was interesting because you were telling me a little bit about that when they came together on that celebration of actually opening this
Right.
as a park.
Two chiefs on the stage. Prior to that, when the park was under construction, I was asked by the park ranger, Gary Lawson, at the time, would I go to the Cleveland airport and pick up the Western chief and his folks?
Remember who that was?
I don't remember. He was CEO of Phillips Petroleum Company. Remember
Okay.
that? Mhm. And so I went out there and I said,
Chief, and he was, okay.
Yeah. I said, this is a good time to be here because your counterpart from Cherokee is here. And he said, we'll just come back another time. And they left. And then when they came back again to look at the area, they wanted to be sure nobody from the Eastern Band was here at all.
Why was that? What was
Well,
going on?
when the
what was
Trail
some
of
of the history?
Tears forced removal began, the ones who went to Oklahoma thought that the ones who went to North Carolina, I don't know if the word was cowardly, how they may have described it, but they thought that they sort of abandoned their folks. And
Okay,
went
how-
over the mountains of North Carolina.
Okay,
where
did
the
they
others-
actually sneak over there, or was that a group that was actually taken over there by the
No,
Army,
my
or
understanding
they
is
just
they
actually
would
snuck
leave
out
the
and leave the group and go?
sneak over
Okay,
there,
okay.
yes, and
So
go over there thinking maybe they wouldn't
they-
have to go as far as going to Oklahoma.
Wow. And they didn't.
No, they didn't.
So that drove a division between sons and fathers and family members. That some went that way, and
It
the rest
lasted
were
from 1838 to 1979 or so. It lasted that long. But the chief...
That is a piece of history that probably very
Right.
few people know about.
Well, Chief Wilma Mankiller was the sitting chief of the Western Band when we had the dedication. And then Chief Bushyhead from Cherokee. And I think probably he was from a lineage of chiefs, because I can remember an earlier chief named Bushyhead as well. And they came down from Cherokee and really shook hands, and we had a nice commemoration. And of course the flame is burning today.
Now tell me about this, because this is an important place.
The young Indians, sort of like the Olympics, carrying the torch. They carried hot embers that were lighted over in Cherokee, North Carolina.
Okay.
In North Carolina. And they carried those embers in buckets or pans, to Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and joined
Where
with
the
their
final settlement was.
Right, and joined with their Western brothers. And then they came back with the embers, planted them here, and the flame has burned since then.
So this is this flame is to commemorate well, the Trail of Tears, to the memory of the way they were treated.
Well, they were treated badly. You know, as they discovered gold on their property, like in Dahlonega, Georgia, the white folks said, "Oh, you found gold now." They thought they were giving them some scrubby land to exist on. But you found gold now. We gave you the wrong land. That's the land we want. That's why they kept moving to New Echota and to Ross's Landing in Chattanooga before they actually gathered here. But our folks were very cruel to them, very cruel to them.
I think it seemed to me that the government was more behind some of the things that happened. When people would say to their government, "We want that land back, please get that for us." But many of the settlers seemed to try to coexist with them, and
They did.
And yeah.
It was the government. For an example, President Jackson disobeyed a Supreme Court resolution when the Supreme Court says they cannot be removed. This was their land. They had property rights. And President Jackson said something to the effect to Chief Justice Marshall at the time, "Well, I've got the army. I'm going to make a move. If Justice Marshall has an army, let him bring them on and keep them."
Wow.
And that was direct disrespect to the Supreme Court of the United States. President Jackson did
and we
not
think
like
we've
the
got
Indians.
problems today.
Oh man, I'll tell you. But this is, I don't guess we'd say this was Holy Land, but I think.
But it is sacred. There's something about this point where they took enough energy and wished to bring this flame back from where
Well,
they were.
Pastor, I think if I was a young Indian standing here from either the Western or Eastern Band, I'd be thinking about my grandparents, my great-grandparents who went on that trail, and I would say we've come full circle now. Here we are at this site, and let's reunite their spirits with our existing spirits today.
You know, of course, Mayor, I know you're very familiar with Scripture, a God-fearing man, and Israel had some of the same issues with Jacob coming back after fleeing for the birthright of his elder brother.
Right.
Came back to try to bring together brothers, and he had the question in his mind over and over again: is this going to be a problem? Am I going to have to fight my brother Esau? Is he going to receive me because I cheated him out of the birthright? So this problem that the Indian two sets, one going to North Carolina and one out here, when they were coming together, they had the same issues going on that has been on in mankind. Is what I've done wrong, how can I make that right, and how am I going to be received in doing it? So it's
well, these were not only brothers by race, but probably I would assume some were actual brothers from the same parents as they split off.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
It's just a sad time in our history.
Well,
Pray that it doesn't happen again.
Happen again.
It just can't happen again.
Again, this reads, this fire is a memorial to those people who suffered and died on the infamous Trail of Tears. It also commemorates the reuniting of the Eastern and Western Cherokee nations here at Red Clay, August 7th, 1837, April 6th, 1984. Now, April 6th was when you guys gathered here and did the ceremony.
That's when we had the ceremony.
Well, you know, this...
President Reagan, of course, acknowledged the event that day.
You know, Mayor, this is, for all of those that are going to be hearing this, this is indeed a very, very special place. Hope that they will come and see this for themselves. But for a moment of silence, maybe we could just simply pause and think about what this place meant to all those who traveled, and try to, in our own minds, reflect upon it, and in some ways, pray that it never happens.
And all God's people, whether red, white, or black, all created by God in His image, we need to embrace that brotherhood today in every way.
Wow. Mayor, I don't know what went through your mind right then, but I'll tell you what went through mine. I saw family after family traveling, little kids playing around, didn't realize really the significance of all the danger and everything going on. Because
shoes wearing out, shoes wearing out, cold weather.
They just went along.
They just went.
And yet, what a unbelievable.
I would suggest, Pastor, for any first-time visitors to this park, should go to the Interpretive Center, and there is a brief movie for orientation purposes to tell about the park and its history.
Well, and also walk down to where that's at.
Sure, and visit the James F. Corn Museum.
Okay.